My dear brothers and sisters of the Discalced Carmelites of the secular order, 24 years ago, Father Camilo Maxise, who was the general of the order, was re-elected to his second term. Father Camilo was a man of great vision and great ideas for the future of the order. And he had decided to establish a separate secretariat in the General House dedicated just to the secular order. And he asked me if I would be willing to come to Rome to head up that secretariat. And I would have the title of delegatus, of the general to the secular order, so that there was somebody who would, in the General House, deal directly with them. Before 1997, the secular order was part of the Secretariat for the Apostolate, so it fell in the group with many other questions, pastoral obligations. But he wanted to start this new secretariat just for the secular order, because the nuns had a secretariat. The fathers, of course, had the secretariat, the friars, but also the secular order, which he had the amazing insight into the membership of the secular order as members of the order. So he thought it needed a secretary. It needed a secretariat. And I came to Rome. I went to Rome from my province in Oklahoma. And also from Mexico came a wonderful secular order woman who was my secretary and secretary of the office for 5 years, Irma Estrada Franco. She's from Mexico. She's from the same city as Father Camilo. They knew each other, of course, from Mexico. But he wanted me, so part of my job, part of my responsibility was to visit different countries. And I started to make visitations to different countries, and different countries began to invite me to come and meet with them. And I was in countries like India, all of India, different parts of India, all of the countries of Europe, some of Latin America, some of Africa, the United States, Canada, Mexico, and Australia, Southeast Asia, East Asia. I was all over, and I noticed after a while, I began to notice that most places had some things very good, but also in most places there was a little bit of confusion about one or two or three different parts or different points that made the fundamentals of the vocation to the secular order. Vocation to the secular order. Either difficulties with discernment, or difficulties with formation, or difficulties with actual practice of the life, living the life of a secular order Carmelite. So after 12 years of the secretary of visiting all these different countries, of seeing the secular order throughout the world, after 12 years, I wrote a book. It was called "Welcome to the Secular Order of Discalced Carmelites." Thanks to some intervention from the part of some secular order people in Washington province who wanted they had heard some of my talks, they had listened to me, and so the book is a collection of conferences put together in a readable fashion. And those conferences, I have to say this, those conferences were primarily conferences I gave in Malaysia and the Philippines. In many ways, my work with Malaysia and my visiting, there were no friars then in Malaysia. There are now. But then also visiting the Philippines and seeing the secular order there, and talking to the secular order, it made me see many things. I put those things in this book, and it's become very popular. The book, many of my conferences, especially the conferences that I give on the famous 6Ms, or the profile of a Carmelite, been translated into many different languages. So thanks be to God, it's been helpful to a number of people. Now, what I propose to do is, by this YouTube video sent out over Carmelite Tube, which is Carmelite Tube is the instrument of the OCD Indonesia Commissariat for communication of our spirituality. Most of the communication is in Bahasa Indonesia. Mine, of course, will be in English. But what I propose to do is to go through that book on the fundamentals, on the fundamentals of the formation, the fundamentals of discernment, the fundamentals of practice, so that I will go through that book piece by piece, and through means of this communication, to try to contribute to a better understanding of the vocation to the Discalced Carmelite secular order. But I will go through the whole book, and in going through the whole book, hopefully it will help again to keep our eyes focused on, why am I a Carmelite?